Whew. That clap was not quite as clappy as I was hoping it would be.
I was just going to roll with it.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Friday. We're back in person.
We're in the studio.
That's why I had to take a moment.
Yes, soak it all in.
Yeah, it's good to be back, Dominic. We end another week.
How are you? Start another month.
Oh, yeah, we're in December now. The end of 2020. What a year it's been.
Oh, yes.
We'll we won't take a look back yet. More to come on that in the future. But Dominic, how are you feeling, my friend? It's the end of another week.
The end of another week. We're here. We're back in person. We've had a lot of remote sessions lately, so it feels good. And we've got a fun little card to break down here. We've got 2 back-to-back 6-fight main cards for the UFC. 2 back-to-back cards with some diamonds in the rough. And those are always our favorite cards to break down. I'm excited.
Yeah, I completely agree. COVID will not leave without going down. They will not go down without a fight.
No, they're tearing the UFC cards apart right now.
And I shouldn't say they're really tearing them apart. It's just these main events, man.
Yeah, that's true.
What is it? It's 6 straight after this one. Next week's main event.
Yeah.
I believe it's 6 or 7 in a row. Just please, take care of Davison and Brandon.
Keep them
take
in the
care of
Performance
Connor
Institute.
and Dustin.
Yeah.
If those fights start falling out, I'm gonna become big sad. But we are here to preview another UFC fight night. Hashtag UFC Vegas 17.
16.
Oh, 16. Damn it. Hashtag UFC Vegas 16. We'll be breaking down the whole main card, all 6 fights. You know we love that. Towards the later half of the episode. But we're going to start with everyone's favorite segment, the news.
That is.
We start with our fight announcements. December 19th. Sure, we lost our main event. Hamzat Leon Edwards is gone, but this fight card is still stacked.
Good thing it has an all-star lineup.
And they decided to add another one.
Yeah. And a big one.
It is a big one because we have the former UFC lightweight champion Anthony Pettis back for the first time since UFC 249.
The Wheaties box guy.
Yeah, the Wheaties box guy. He's back going up against Alex Morano. December 19th. This is an interesting fight for him. We had talked about Anthony Pettis actually on Monday.
Yes, we did.
And we had mentioned Miguel Baeza as being a potential fight for him. And kind of the question we were asking ourselves is, where is Anthony Pettis at this point in his career? Is he wanting to continue kind of what fight's going to get him to where he's going to be fighting contenders at some point? Or is he going to just look for those kind of legacy fights like Cowboy Cerrone, which he had in his last fight?
Right.
It appears he's still
fighting whoever.
He's looking to be competitive. He's looking to fight whoever.
He's not picking fights.
And look, Alex Morano he's not necessarily at the name of Anthony Pettis, obviously, but a tough matchup here.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm curious what your thoughts are on this fight.
Is this going to be at lightweight or welterweight? Do you know off the top of your head? Question mark.
I believe it's going to be at welterweight.
So, it is very fascinating whenever I see Anthony fight at welterweight. I guess he's been up there his past few fights, though, so that might have been a dumb question.
Well, he bounces back and forth, man.
This is tough fight for him, but I, again, respect that he's not just picking and choosing fights. He's just wanting to fight whoever. And he obviously wanted to be put on this card. I mean, he knows how big of a card this is.
Right.
Assuming they're going to throw this right on that main card and keep it at 6 fights. I'm excited, but for Alex Morano, this is a big one for him. And if he were to win against a guy like Anthony Pettis, former champion, former Wheaties box guy, former face of the UFC, biggest win of his career, would be the biggest name for him. A lot to lose if you're Anthony Pettis in this situation, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I don't think he cares.
And not a lot of reward, I should say, as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting choice for him. Morano is by no means a scrub or anything. You know, he's got some good wins on his record. He beat Josh Berkman back in 2018. He's beaten Max Griffin, Zach Otto. Those are definitely not. They're not necessarily world beaters, but they're not scrubs.
Right.
But really, so far for Morano, he's still kind of looking to dust off the cobwebs from welcoming Chaos Williams into the octagon.
Wait, Really?
He was the one that got knocked out by Chaos in 27
man.
seconds. He did bounce back. He beat Rice McKee. That was the guy who had fought Hamzat in the second fight. McKee being a pretty decent prospect from the UK.
Really good boxer.
Who's really been
striker.
given a tough road here. He started with Hamzat. This is kind of a tangent, but then he gets Morano, who's been fighting in UFC for 4 years.
Oh, that was just a couple weeks ago too.
So he's turning around here pretty quickly, which we love to see right now. But he's still trying to dust that off because ultimately right now that's kind of his biggest claim to fame so far, because considering what Chaos has been doing. So what better opportunity to go up against Mr. Wheaties Box, Anthony Pettis. And Pettis, to your point about kind of him at welterweight, we've seen him look incredible. He knocked out Stephen Thompson at welterweight. And then we've seen him look, I guess, maybe just older. Is that the right word? Like, he just looks like he's lost a step at times, like the Nate Diaz fight he did.
It's a guy that hit his prime really young. It seems.
It's weird. He's kind of had a weird career here in this later period. He's literally fought from in division, like at featherweight, lightweight, welterweight. He kind of bounces back and forth.
Well, and as you like to say, it's not just the age of the person; it's the fight years. Because Anthony's still a young guy.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're talking about a guy that was champion at such a young age that it's just, he essentially has already hit his prime and he's past his prime.
Yeah.
He's still got the talent, but I don't look at Anthony and think future champion anymore.
I hear you there. I mean, you have to think he won the WEC lightweight title from Benson Henderson. I believe that's the fight with the Showtime kick.
Oh, yeah.
He was 23 years old at the time.
Crazy.
And then comes to the UFC and actually had some growing pains. Really, it's like his UFC career is really never... Like, sure, he had that great run where he won the title, got on the Wheaties Box. It was like he was going to be like this next huge star, but his debut was against Clay Guida and he lost. People forget, like, he was looked at like he might come in and fight for the belt immediately, because by the time he was being brought in, Benson hadn't won the belt yet, I don't think, but eventually that matchup was looking like it could happen. Ends up happening. Obviously, he wins again, gets that slick armbar submission kind of out of nowhere. He had a good run. Unfortunately, like, after that, he had a really pretty big rough patch. I mean, he lost 3 in a row, 4 of his next 5. Like,
straight killers.
Yeah, I mean, he's really never taken a step back in competition until really this fight.
Yeah.
I mean, truthfully, this fight is kind of a step back for him.
But maybe that's a good thing.
I think it is. I mean, the win over Cerrone is fine. I didn't think he won that fight, truthfully.
I didn't either.
I thought Cowboy did, but it was a good fight. It was a legacy fight. And Cowboy, there's a lot of questions on kind of what kind of fighter he is anymore. So it's interesting. And, yeah, for Morano, he's kind of got everything to win here. I mean, it's... Again, like, the only other fight that really sticks out to me where I'm like, oh, I remember that fight for Morano was when he was knocked out by Nico Price.
Right.
Of course, that later got overturned due to marijuana. That continues to be relevant for Nico, but yeah, it should be fun. I think it's gonna be a what's the word I'm looking for here? I don't think on paper that, like, Anthony Pettis is worse anywhere than Morano. Like, I feel like Anthony Pettis has the advantage everywhere on paper, but a lot of it's mental for him. Yeah,
especially this latter half of the career.
So hopefully we get to see him. He looks energized. He seems energized. Yeah. So
this would be 2 in a row for him.
Yeah, and same for Morano.
Yeah, I love it too. And get these guys on that last card. Still give us a 6-fight main card to end out 2020. That fight card's still insane.
I mean, this fight's looking like it might open up that main card.
Yeah.
And you have Anthony Pettis on a fight night.
Yeah,
opening up the main card. Like, come on.
Exactly.
Our next fight announcement, this one's a kind of a surprise.
Love it.
UFC 259. This is March.
Yes.
Joseph Benavidez versus Askar Askarov. A huge opportunity for Askarov here.
Number 2 versus number 3.
A big bounce back opportunity for Benavidez. Dom, my kind of question for you here is this all but confirmed that Cody Garbrandt will be next title challenger after.
Yes, 100%. Especially if Joseph wins, because he's not going to get
Well,
another title.
I just, what's funny is that Cody.
Well, yeah, he's saying he's going to be back in March.
So he's saying he wants to fight the winner in March, which is hilarious. Like, you're seeing these
Right
guys, these two guys, Davison and Brandon Moreno, are about to fight twice in a month.
You know what I'm seeing? I'm looking into the glass globe, the glass ball. I'm
Sure.
seeing another flyweight title night in March.
Really?
Yeah, maybe we get a little Joey B and Askar on the card. Then we got a Cody versus Davison. Then we got a Valentina versus Andrade. I'm just saying, it lines up.
I like it. I like it.
Lines up, baby.
I mean,
But,
I'm still kind of hoping that card's headlined by Stipe and Ngannou too myself.
Oh, and
but-
it's also rumored Izzy Jan.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
There's March is looking crazy.
they might do 2 pay-per-views in March.
Yeah. But it's our first fight announcement for
That far ahead.
that pay-per-view.
Yeah.
So, and it's a big one. I mean, Benavidez, it's going to be his first time back in the octagon, coming off that just the fight we probably talk about more than any other on this podcast, that brutal loss to Davison, back-to-back really brutal losses. A lot of questions on what kind of fight he has left. And for Askarov, he's looked really incredible, undefeated, but obviously this is going to be his biggest test, and I think that this is a opportunity for him to really make a name for himself.
Yeah, I mean, if he were to beat a guy here like Joey Benavidez, he's right there next in line. I still want to see him and Moreno run it back because they have a draw together, but, that's all right. I'll let that slide. This is a really good fight here. I mean, you got to lean toward Askar just because of what we've been seeing out of Benavidez lately. However, this is a fight that I definitely think Benavidez can win and have a bounce-back win from. But Askar's tough, and again, undefeated for a reason, outside of the draw.
Yeah, true. We love to say that. As for Benavidez, coming off that loss, and I'm pretty sure he said this in the post-fight press conference, and I try not to take too much of what the fighters say to heart, or not to heart, at face value, because they're very emotional. They haven't had a whole lot of time to process. He made it clear he did not want to go out that way.
Loss, yeah.
So
This could
for
be
him,
the
this could be a
send-off.
huge motivating factor for him in this fight. And who knows, if he wins,
This could be it.
it
Either
could
way.
be it. Because ultimately, are you going to put him up against Davison a third time? I don't think so.
No.
I
I think
just
he
don't.
knows he's not getting another title fight. I would be shocked.
Maybe if Moreno wins, Davison moves to 135. Maybe the winner of Cody Moreno fights Benavidez if he beats Askarov. This is a lot of maybes,
Yeah,
a lot of just
Hypotheticals.
hypotheticals. There's a lot that can happen here, but just on this fight itself, I think it's fireworks. I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, love it. Love this fight.
And I did mention this earlier, but our main event for December 19th has been scrapped. Leon Edwards tested positive for COVID-19. Apparently he got it pretty bad.
Yeah.
So, God, has anybody had a worse year in MMA than Leon
Poor
Edwards?
Leon Edwards, man.
Like, if Anthony Smith hadn't won his last fight, I think those two would have been, competing for who had the worst year for an MMA fighter. But, man, Leon, just the bad luck continues to pile up. Now, they did not replace him. So, his fight with him and Hamza, it looks like it's going to be rebooked in January, which is a plus.
Yep.
And I hope Leon recovers well enough because, again, that's not, if he had it that bad, that's not depending on when they book it in January, you're not giving the guy a ton of time to really recover. But he's really been kind of counted out this whole way through. It seems like, the UFC's kind of doing anything they can to just get him, basically feed him to the lion almost. And they're like, if we have to carry you into the octagon to lose to Hamzat, we will. So it kind of almost makes you want to root for him despite some of the decisions he's kind of been, kind of making me turned off a little bit. But I'm hoping that fight gets rebooked for January. This main event is being replaced by what was originally the co-main. And this fight is definitely headline
it's
material.
main event material, yeah.
Stephen Thompson and Jeff Neal, a fight we talked about, but now it gets the main event. Jeff Neal getting his first shot in the main event. Stephen Thompson, a guy who's fought for
everybody loves.
Yeah, fought for the
Stephen
welterweight belt twice. He headlined fight nights with like Anthony Pettis and Johnny Hendricks way back in the day. So no stranger to the headline is Stephen Thompson. And I'm just glad to see these guys get that platform.
Especially for a guy like Jeff Neal, too.
Yeah. I'm saddened that Hamzat and Leon's not happening because that fight's just so interesting because we just have no idea how it's going to go. But I look forward to seeing Jeff Neal get an opportunity here, regardless of if he wins or loses, because Stephen Thompson is a puzzle.
Think about, and if they, I love that main event. If they do Leon and Hamzat in January, listen at these 3 boom, boom, boom main events.
Mm-hmm.
Holloway Cater, the 16th. Then we got UFC 257, McGregor versus Poirier. January 30th, Leon Edwards versus Hamzat Chimaev.
I love it.
Saddle up. 2021 is going to be here before we know it.
Yeah, no, that's great. So, prayers up for Leon Edwards.
Yeah.
Hoping for the best for him there. But that is all for our fight announcements. We'll move on to the rest here, which is really where we're going to get into
we got some fun stuff.
Some meaty stuff here. So, we're going to start with the Korean Zombie.
Love this.
Making some headlines. He called out our friend Zabit Magomedsharipov. And really, I guess we can even add to this news part here is that really for the featherweight division, it's all being shaken up right now.
Yeah.
We talked on Monday about the cryptic response Dana White had to a question about Yair Rodriguez, who we have not heard anything about, him and Zabit.
True.
We have heard nothing about their fight since Habib had put that main card on his Instagram and it had them on there. And we were like, oh my gosh, this card looks amazing.
Yeah.
Fight never came to fruition. Well, we might have found out why.
Yes, we did.
From September 8th,
Yep.
Yair Rodriguez has been suspended 6 months due to USADA violation. That violation being that for UFC fighters, from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., I believe it's every day of the week or so.
Probably.
There's essentially an app on their phone that they are supposed to, if they are not, I don't know if it's at home or at the gym.
Yeah.
I don't know I don't know if it's just if you're away from your
What
house
the rules
or what.
are.
But you're supposed to basically update this app to your location pretty much everywhere you go. So if USADA official comes to your house and you're not there, then that's like a strike. If you get 3 strikes in a 12-month period, then suspension. And that's what happened here.
Yep.
So it's like, for considering how cryptic Dana's response was, I'm not sure if this is quite as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
It's very unfortunate because, again, Yair out 6 months. I mean, from September, that means he would be able to come back in like March. So, kind of where this ties in is the UFC has wanted Yair versus Zabit for literally years.
Yeah.
Since our Gardenland days.
Yeah. Yes.
That's a throwback.
Oh yes. That's a podcast in itself.
So what I'm curious about is what happens here, Dom. Do they wait and rebook Yair Zabit, or Korean Zombie calling out Zabit? Does that fight get booked potentially to start out 2021?
I mean, Korean Zombie and Zabit have a main event written all over it. I love that fight. That fight is beautiful chaos. But if you're Zabit here, it's almost like, do I just kind of wait? I'm undefeated in the UFC, 6 fights in a row. He's 18-1. I mean, does he just wait? Maybe has he earned the spot where he can say, all right, Volkanovski or Ortega, whoever wins, that's who I get? Or with the fight like Max and Cater, say Cater beats Max, does he necessarily earn a title shot, or does he just bump up significantly in the rankings? If Max wins, does he still need one more fight before he can get another title shot? Because I would personally love to see Max and Zabit fight.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know. So just give me Zabit and Korean Zombie and we'll call it a day. But it is risky to take that if you're Zabit, when you've been looking at essentially title fighter Yair. But Yair's 4th, Korean Zombie's 5th. It's not like it's... I don't know. A lot of stuff.
All I know is that whichever fight Zabit gets, and as of now, kind of leaning towards the Zombie fight.
It makes sense.
Zabit Rodriguez is an incredible matchup, and I hope we do get it at some point. But I just need to see Zabit fight. It's been a year.
Yeah, it's been too long.
And Korean Zombie had a bit of a, I guess you could call it, I don't know if it was as much a disappointing performance for him or if it was just how good Brian Ortega was in that fight. I'm not sure kind of how you would, but I think overall, like, we were expecting more from Zombie in that fight with Ortega. So it gives him an opportunity to bounce back against another killer in Zabit. But there are a lot of question marks about Zabit's ability to go 5 rounds, and that's why whichever fight happens, it needs to be a 5-round main event, headlining a fight night. I need to see Zabit tested in those deep waters.
For sure.
I think either one of these guys can do that to him, especially someone like Korean Zombie, who that guy just never seems to be out of the fight.
I feel like Korean Zombie could really be a test for Zabit here, and obviously vice versa. We know this, but the Zombie we saw in the fight with Ortega, that's a different version of the Zombie. I will give credit to Brian Ortega.
I think
2.0.
It's more of a credit to Ortega's performance. There was just something I felt lacking. It was just not the Korean Zombie that I was used to seeing.
Right.
So, and I guess this another question we can bring up here is, does Yair Rodriguez really have a future in the UFC? Now, I know that the suspension, like, it doesn't look great, obviously, being suspended by USADA, but considering that it doesn't confirm that he cheated, he never tested positive.
That's true.
You could look at it like he's bad at updating his app or whatever, whatever the reason is. But this is just another chapter in this long, storied... I mean, really, it's only been a couple years he's really been in the promotion, but it just seems like him and the UFC have just always had problems.
Butted heads, yeah.
Dana fired him for a day.
This is
that
true.
was back in our Gardenland days, and guess what it was for? Not taking the fight with Zabit.
Yeah.
And yet, here we are, multiple years later, the fight still hasn't happened, and it looks like it didn't happen because of Yair's suspension. So you have to wonder kind of how long is the leash here? Like, how much more can the UFC really take before they just think it's not worth keeping him around?
Right.
He's been Yair's kind of shown some flaws potentially in his kind of out of the octagon character. That fight with Jeremy Stevens did not put him in a great light, where he eye poked Stevens so bad Stevens couldn't continue, so the fight was essentially stopped in the first minute of the first round. Yair was absolutely livid. Tried to fight Jeremy after they had left the building and everything. I understand that it was in Mexico and you want to put on this show for your hometown fans, but I don't know, man. It just didn't look great considering it was him that committed the foul. Jeremy Stevens is never shown to be a guy that would take an easy way out, so for him to assume that is kind of preposterous. I don't know. There's a lot moving pieces here. I just want to see Zabit fight again ultimately.
Yeah.
And if that means he fights Korean Zombie in February, give me that. Give me a little Valentine's Day Korean Zombie Zabit.
That'd be the best present I could ask for.
100%. So we talked already about Cody Garbrandt, so I think we'll move on from...
Right.
We'll skip that one. Big signing here for the PFL. They're making moves.
This is massive, yes.
They're making moves. They signed perhaps essentially one of the top pound-per-pound women's boxers in the world, Clarissa Shields. The much-rumored move to MMA is finally looking like it's going to take place. She signed with the PFL on Monday, I believe. So... I guess, she has been calling for a boxing fight with Amanda Nunes. It seems like she's always been kind of tied to MMA in some way. She's always kind of making those headlines in the MMA bubble. And now she officially looks like she's coming over. So what does this mean for the PFL and for her in general?
Good for the PFL, first off. Especially an organization that struggled a lot this year with everything going on. It looks like they're lining up a lot of big things in 2021, it seems, with all the stuff they've been doing. This is awesome to see Clarissa Shields here. Very interested to see how she does. I'd be interested to see how they match her up in her first fight. She's not even really had any MMA fights at all, right?
Nope.
So Very interested to see what they would do here with her. She's won so many belts in boxing, it's unbelievable. She really has nothing else to accomplish there. And I think she's just got that competitive mentality. I love listening to her interview. Very confident about herself and confident that she can bring those boxing skills over and utilize them to get wins in mixed martial arts and make her way, make some noise. I mean, face women like Kayla Harrison, make moves to the UFC. Like, she has that confidence about herself. I love it. I love when we get these big crossovers, especially when it's not like we've got a CM Punk from the WWE coming over.
Yeah.
We've got a legitimate boxing world champion, similar to Holly Holm, coming over
And she's
to
taking
mixed
it
martial
serious.
arts.
She's
And look
taking
what
it
Holly
serious.
Holm did.
Yeah.
World champion. Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Love this. Very exciting.
It is exciting. There's a couple takeaways here. First off, PFL, I believe, has said that they are going to be putting her at lightweight, which is very.
They're going to essentially start. Well, they already have a division, but they're like the only really women's division or organization that has a 155-pound women's division, I should say.
And I know the UFC has really struggled with women's featherweight. Really struggled to get it off the ground. But I do want to ask this. If at some point Clarissa Shields proves to be legit, and then you got Kayla Harrison at lightweight, I mean, what two better people to potentially start a division with if they ever make their way to the UFC? Or if they can cut down to 145, imagine adding those two to featherweight.
Oh.
That's looking ahead.
Yeah.
We don't know how Clarissa Shields is going to look. I mean, she said that she wants to continue boxing while doing MMA at the same time, so we'll see how that goes or if that really holds true. Also, again, Kayla Harrison is an absolute savage, and I think a concern for me is that they might try to do a Shields versus Harrison fight sooner than it needs to happen.
Yeah.
Because Shields is an animal when it comes to boxing.
Yeah.
But until she's really able to build that full arsenal, and that's going to take multiple years, you can't just give her to someone like Harrison.
Oh, no.
And I'm a little concerned that could happen, especially because they're both looking like they're going to fight at lightweight. It worries me a little bit. But I don't want to get too negative here because ultimately it's very exciting. Clarissa Shields coming over. And, it's really cool because women's boxing has just, for whatever reason, it has just never caught on with the casual fans of the world. Back in the day you had Layla Ali going up against Joe Frazier's daughter. That sold like nothing. It was even built as Ali versus Frazier 4.
Yeah.
Still didn't sell. The pay in women's boxing is not near what it is in men's. So it makes a lot of sense for her to come over here and really try to build herself as a star in combat sports.
And it seems like the PFL is all in.
Yeah, because women's MMA, let's be honest, it's great. It's really caught on, and you had people like Ronda Rousey who took over just pop culture. So you've never seen a women's boxer reach those heights. So for her to come over here, who's to say that she can't finally kind of hit that? She's already a star in boxing, but for her to potentially work her way into being just a combat sports star and potentially reach those heights, not saying of a Rousey, that's a high expectation, but who's to say that she can't be on the same name value as someone like Holly Holm?
Exactly.
It's exciting. And I guess to build off of that, Kayla Harrison has made it clear, according to her manager Ali Abdelaziz, that she wants to fight again in 2020. And she actually got permission to fight for Titan FC as long as they can find her an opponent.
She was tweeting and calling people out. She said she wants to do a catch weight at 150 pounds. There ain't going to be no one that wants to fight her on a short notice fight. I'm sorry.
I feel like someone will step up.
Think so?
Someone's going to want that payday or want that
I hope someone
opportunity. Does. Right? It seems like every time this has happened, someone is there to step up. Someone's going to take the call, because if they for whatever reason somehow land the perfect shot or get the perfect position.
They're a star.
You beat a star, you become that star.
And you've got to think the UFC took notice when Kayla made her featherweight debut a couple weeks ago.
Oh,
you know they were watching very
Definitely.
closely. So I am very interested to see what this near future looks like for Kayla with the PFL. And I want to see her continue to do featherweight. And I want to see her in the UFC. So
down the line for sure.
yeah.
Our last bit of news here, it's a big one. Khabib making some headlines here. He spoke with the Russian media over some point this week.
What a great piece it was, too.
Yeah. We'll start with the fact that he has bought his own promotion, formerly Guerrilla Fighting Championship out of Dagestan, renaming it the Eagle Fighting Championship. Apparently this meeting with Dana White is because he is looking to add Eagle Fighting Championship to Fight Pass. That's awesome. The quote he said really stuck out to me too. Something, this isn't verbatim because again I believe he was speaking in Russian, but it was essentially that a lot of these smaller promotions, they are all about like wanting to try to keep their talent in their promotion.
Right.
That's not what he wants to do. He wants to build these guys to where they can go to the next level.
Yeah.
Go to the UFC.
As it should be.
And that's awesome. So I believe that we will be seeing Eagle Fighting Championship on Fight Pass. I'm sure Dana's going to try to pitch him some other stuff while he's
Yeah.
at this meeting. But another big thing that he's talking about is that he really wants to push to get MMA added to the Olympics. And
Yep.
he even said 2028 would be the ideal time to start. A long time coming, right?
I think it's something that is very possible to happen. I really do. And if there's a guy to have as an ambassador to start this movement, it's Khabib.
Yeah, completely. I think that it's time. This sport is legitimate enough to where it should be represented in the Olympics.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
I mean, imagine, man, just what that can do. I mean, we already talk up these guys that won medals in wrestling or judo.
Or Clarissa Shields in boxing.
Right.
Holly Holm in boxing.
So now you have legit MMA in the
Yes,
Olympics.
yeah.
Imagine a gold medal winner
And
in MMA.
yeah.
Like
That's the best MMA fighter in the world.
I mean, these are legit prospects that will be put on a world stage in front of. I mean, people just watch the Olympics to watch the Olympics.
Oh, I mean, hundreds of millions of people.
It's the biggest sporting event there is in the world, and you put these prospects on that world stage, someone wins, and they're immediately a star.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you got to think, like, every gold medal winner is going to be getting those big contracts that come to these big promotions.
Title fights on the first fight of the organization.
Man, I don't know about that, but it makes me excited for the future, what this can do for the talent pool, what this can do for really building these fighters as who they are, like building their star power. Especially in the UFC. The UFC likes to, sure, they love the money that comes with the Conor McGregor, Jorge Masvidal, or Nate Diaz. But at the end of the day, they sell you on their brand.
Yeah.
I have UFC shirts.
Yep.
You have UFC shirts. Could you imagine wearing an NFL shirt? Or a shirt that says NBA
No.
or MLB?
No.
And yet we wear UFC shirts like it's nothing.
Yes, this is true.
It speaks to the promotion of the brand.
Yep.
So what this can do for the fighters, it just makes me happy to see that power balance kind of start to maybe come into more in the middle there.
In a sport that's already taken the world by storm, is literally worldwide. Now we're just talking bigger fan bases, more eyes on the sport than even before.
Mm-hmm.
This would be massive. And really, 2028, although you're like, oh, that's 8 years away, that's not that long. That's only 2 Olympic Games away.
Yeah.
So,
True.
love that for Khabib, by the way. What a great ambassador for mixed martial arts.
Couldn't have said it any better myself. But with that, that's the end of the news.
The news. Let's go.
We're on to the preview.
UFC Vegas 16.
Hashtag UFC Vegas 16. Jack Hermansson versus Marvin Vettori. I'm going to give you guys the main card before we really dig in here. We start our night at featherweight. Movsar. Don't know if that's right. Movsar.
Take your time. Spell it out. Sound it out.
Movsar
Evlov.
Evlov.
Yep, there you go.
Versus Nate Landwehr. Then we go to light heavyweight. Roman
back to back.
Dolidze versus John Allen Arte. Women's flyweight Montana De La Rosa versus Taylor Santos. Light heavyweight in our co-main event. Ovent St. Preux. Hop on the train now, folks. OSP for the title. Get on this train before it takes off. But he's going up against Jamal Hill.
Yeah. Undefeated, by the way.
Main event. I'm just going to move on. Main event. Jack Hermansson, Marvin Vettori. Vettori stepping in on late notice, replacing Kevin Holland. Hermansson said, "Let's do it."
The Joker, the Italian dream.
It's his third opponent.
He doesn't care.
Doesn't give a fuck.
He'll fight Dana White.
Ugh.
So I've been told. My sources say. Also, we got a bonus fight. We got a bonus fight added to the card.
Oh, shit. I forgot.
We have a 6-fight main card. I don't know where this falls. I believe it's the third fight.
Okay.
Gabriel Benitez versus Justin James at lightweight. That's our bonus fight. Just got added on today. A 6-fight main card, folks. Saddle up.
It's not updated on my screen, so I apologize.
I will find out the order we've got here.
So, I believe we'll talk about this fight third, correct?
It is the 4th fight on the main card.
4th fight on the main card.
Yes.
So that means we start with our favorite name to say here.
Yes.
Movsar. God, that is
Evlov.
Evlov.
Yes.
Movsar Evlov versus Nate Landwehr. Dom, just please save me.
Men's 145. Men's featherweight. Nate is 14-3. 8 KO TKOs. He's 1-1 in the UFC. Notable win. Darren Elkins unanimous decision. Notable loss. Herbert Burns. You know, brother of Gilbert Burns, future title challenger.
He got knocked the fuck
got
out.
knocked out by him. Then we've got an undefeated Movsar Evloev on the other side of the octagon. A perfect 13 wins, 0 losses. He's got 3 KO TKOs, 4 submissions. He's undefeated in the UFC with a 3-0 record. This is fun. Interesting matchup here. We know Nate's going to come out and bang.
Yes,
we know he's going to come out and bang. But, Noah, we've got an undefeated fighter here to start the night off.
And what do we always say?
Undefeated for a reason.
And to speak even more than that, because I don't want to just say, oh, well, Movsar's undefeated, so he's going to win. It doesn't work that way, right? But undefeated for a reason, for sure. Nate Landwehr has had an interesting UFC run so far. I mean, he's 1-1. Even in the past, he is shown to have a suspect chin. And that was put on full display in his debut in the promotion. He had some hype around him coming in, looking like a potential star that the UFC could build around. Herbert Burns said, "Hold my beer." That knee from the clinch, absolutely brutal.
Oh, yes.
But he did have a big bounce back against Darren Elkins, who is a proven veteran. Another guy that, talk about coming in to fight. That guy.
Elkins has the damage tattooed across his chest, so
he's about it.
that should tell you enough.
He has
one of the best comeback victories in UFC history.
That is 100% true. I remember watching that. And, yeah, so on one hand, I've seen more faults from Landwehr, but he, look, he's a former, I believe, I want to say he was a champion with,
whatever that belt says.
I forget now. So excuse me there, but
he is a former champion.
He's a former champion of a smaller promotion, and he does have that hype around him, but he's going up against Movsar here, who really hasn't shown much faults. I mean, 3 wins, all by unanimous decision. He's been clean so far. And if you go back to his fights, he was fighting at M1 Global, which is, it's pretty good competition there too. 7 wins by finish out of 13.
He's going to do what he has to do to get the win.
I think that's going to be kind of the case here, but is Landwehr really capable of going to a decision?
Win or lose, actually. That is a great question.
I mean, he proved he could win by decision. He beat Darren Elkins by decision, but He's lost. He's got 3 losses in his professional career. His first one was a unanimous loss way back in 2013. But he lost in 2015 via rear naked choke and then the knee from the clinch.
I think we're going to see a lot of wildness and craziness from Nate, but a lot of conservative action out of Movsar. So I think he can go to the distance. More so because I don't think he's going to be getting as much action fired back at him. Mm-hmm. However, I do believe that Movsar is going to be able to get the victory. And I've got him winning via decision. Which is essentially why I just talked myself into why Nate can't go the distance.
Interesting. Yeah, it's... On paper, the advantage definitely seems to be towards Movsar here. I might go the other way.
Do it.
Look, Landwehr's
got to go.
Trust me, dude. Landwehr's, he's a guy that it seems like on any given night, and I know this is true for any fighter, but his style is truly can win him fights and lose him fights in the same breath. It's just something that you have to kind of see to believe. And here he's going up against a guy with probably a more safer style.
Mm-hmm. Struggling here.
I know it really is a tough one because Movsar is definitely a wild card in this matchup. Like Landwehr, I've seen. I know what I can expect from him. Can't say the same for Movsar.
Yeah, right.
I'm gonna go
with it.
I'm gonna go with Landwehr. I'm gonna go with Landwehr. I actually think it will go to a decision though. I don't.
You think he'll win by decision?
Yeah, he did it in his last fight against Elkins. I know Elkins is a guy that does not get finished very often.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think that's the way it's going to go. If you want to even go off of that, I mean, Darren Elkins is the most impressive win across both these guys' resumes.
Yeah.
So it's a step up from Movsar, but Landwehr has shown more faults. But again, that's against Herbert Burns, a guy who's another big prospect. None of Movsar's wins really say the same thing. So I'm going to go with Landwehr by decision. But yeah, that's what I'm going to go with there. So we're going to move on to Roman Dolidze and John Allen Arte. That's a light heavyweight.
Yes. I know we've got another undefeated fighter here. Roman is 7-0. A perfect 100% finish rate, ladies and gentlemen. Ring the bells. We still need bells or an alarm.
Yeah.
4 KO TKOs, 3 submissions. He's 1-0 in the UFC. 5 of those 7 finishes have came via the first round. On the other side of the octagon, Mr. John Allen is 13-5. 9 KO TKOs, 3 submissions. That's 12 out of 13 via finish. He's 0-1 in the UFC with 1 no contest. 8 of his 12 finishes, have came in the first round. His no contest was against Mike Rodriguez, which I had to note. That's a pretty notable guy there.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be a good one. I was going to go fight of the night on this one until the late addition to the card. So, I'm not going to... That just gave away my fight of the night. But, this is going to be a fun one. Again, we got another undefeated guy. I went with the undefeated guy in the first fight. I'm probably going to go with it again here. If I'm not mistaken, I've got Roman. I've got Roman, second round, KO, TKO. Moves to a perfect 8-0, and a perfect 8-for-8 finishes.
Yeah, I completely... I feel like this matchup is somewhat similar to what we just talked about. And yet I feel just as conflicted. And I mean, again, these are 2 different fighters, 2 different styles, but both in similar places. I mean, Dolidze, he's undefeated for a reason. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but call it what it is. He's 7-0, and he's not just coming in there to get the win. He's coming in there to completely finish the fight. And then you have John Allen Arte, who has had more tests, I guess. He's battle tested.
Yeah.
Both win and lose. He's got more experience. He's got double the experience of Dolidze. He's younger, too. 5 years younger.
Really?
Yeah, 27 years old. So, in this matchup, man, it's going to be interesting because both guys, and this speaks to what you were talking about with Fight of the Night, both these guys, again, do not just come in to win the fight. They come in to finish their opponent. I'd like to believe someone's going to sleep here.
Oh, this is going to be a barn burner.
I think I'm going to go... I might actually go... Oh my gosh. I'm just as conflicted. 75-inch reach for Arte, and then you got Delidze with the 76. That's not really. So basically, I just reduced that fraction.
Don't start talking about fractions. My brain will break.
I'm gonna actually go with the same thing. I'm gonna say the same you said. I'm gonna go with Roman Delidze, but I'm gonna do second round KO TKO. I'm actually predicting this to be fight of the night.
Yeah. Love it.
We move on to our late edition fight or the women's fight.
Our lone women's fight of the main card.
Montana De La Rosa, Taylor Santos at women's flyweight.
Taylor.
Top 15 here.
Oh yeah, Miss Taylor Santos, 16-1 now. She's pretty good.
Oh, so close to saying.
She's pretty good.
Oh, we can't quite say undefeated for.
Not quite. 10 KO TKOs, 2 submissions. She's got 12 out of 16 via finish. 2-1 in the UFC if you count her win on the Contender Series. Notable win against Miss Molly McMahon via unanimous decision. 11 of Taylor's 12 finishes have came via the first round, Noah. On the other end of the octagon, we've got Montana De La Rosa. She's 11-6. 8 of her 11 wins are via submission. She's 4-2 in the UFC, a notable win over Rachel Ostovich, which is not looking as notable these days. That was via submission. She does have some notable losses. We did some digging here. She's got a loss to Miss Nico Montano. Okay. That was on the Ultimate Fighter Season 26. Lost to her via unanimous decision. As you know, or may not know, Nico went on to become the first ever women's flyweight champion. She's also lost to Mackenzie Dern at LFC 61 in 2016 via submission. Lost to Cynthia Calvillo at the very first LFA event back in 2017 via TKO.
So interesting.
And then in the UFC has lost to Andrea Lee via decision and Vivian Araujo via unanimous decision. Montana has definitely got the competition advantage here. She's been in there with top tier competition.
However, Santos is a killer. For women's MMA, this woman is a savage.
I just saw that picture and I got scared. She looks like a bodybuilder.
Yeah. No, speaking to what you're talking about there, when do you see that in women's MMA? Those first round finishes, knocking out these women like.
Oh yeah, 11 out of 12. That's insane.
In her UFC run, it has not been quite the same thing. All decisions. Contender Series against Estefany Almeida. Decision, unanimous decision.
It's when you really start to see that step up in competition.
Then Mara Barella, split decision loss. However, that win over Molly McCann, another prospect. I remember she was the favorite in that fight. That was on the Cater Ige card that happened this summer. A lot of people surprised Santos was able to get that win there, me included, really. But man, this is so interesting because Santos is shown to be a killer, but is it because was she fighting cans on the regionals? You know, we always say undefeated for a reason, and she was truly undefeated at that time.
Yeah.
So I guess it's what do we really believe here? Do we side with someone like De La Rosa, who, by the way, 8 wins by submission?
Montana.
Hey, talk about someone who also comes in and finishes fights,
yes.
but in the reverse way.
Yes.
That's really going to be kind of the test here, right? If Santos wins this, I feel like she has to at least be able to control the fight on the feet. If the fight gets to the ground, I feel like De La Rosa is going to have the advantage there.
Right.
At least be able to do more offensively. I mean, maybe Santos can do some in the ground and pound, but
I just made a last minute change. No, I'm going to be honest with you.
Okay.
So I had Taylor at first.
Okay.
But I just changed it. Going over these stats again, the notes here. Montana's been in there with the best of the best, man. She really is a very skilled fighter. She has shown that she has what it takes to fight top tier people and compete with them. I'm going Montana De La Rosa here. She may even be the favorite just because of the experience and the bigger name value here. But to me, on paper, she would be the underdog in my opinion. Mm-hmm. But I'm going Montana here, and I think she gets it done via decision. I think she's going to drag it out. She's going to use that experience, her skill. I think she's going to be able to outlast the newcomer in quotes.
Yeah, I guess Taylor. Another factor is De La Rosa stepping in on 2 weeks' notice here.
Yeah, and just fought. When did she last fight? In September, so not long
5th.
ago.
So stepping in on 2 weeks here, I think I'm actually going to go with Santos. Now, do I think she goes back to her killer ways, or does she continue to show this kind of new Taylor Santos that's maybe a smarter fighter in some ways, but maybe lacks some of that excitement or that energy that we saw when she was on the regionals? I think she finishes this fight. I'm actually going to go with a second round KO TKO.
Oh my goodness.
For Taylor Santos. I think it's the big win that can really push her into the top 15, because you got Montana De La Rosa as number 15.
I'm very fascinated with this fight. I'm very intrigued. Outside of the main event, I'm most intrigued.
Low-key fight of the night contender.
Yeah, here. This is a very interesting stylistic fight here. I'm excited to see how this goes. And Montana also married a UFC fighter, Mark De La Rosa, another flyweight contender. Has the experience again. It's going to be interesting. There's a lot of things in play here. I'm very excited for this one.
Yeah, completely agreed. So now we get on to our...
This is the
bonus fight. Yes. Gabriel Benitez, Justin James. Justin James' nickname, Guitar Hero.
You think he's good at it? You think he plays on expert? Gabriel's 21-8. 7 KO TKOs, 11 submissions. That's 18 out of 21 via finish. We got a lot of finishers on Saturday's card. However, 5-4 in the UFC. A little shaky. He's got a notable win over Mr. Jason Knight via unanimous decision. Has some notable losses. Lost to Andre Touchy-Feely via TKO. Lost to my boy, Sadiq Youssef, also via TKO. Out of his 18 finishes, 10 of those have came via the first round. Other side, Mr. Justin James, 16-5, 8 KO TKOs, 5 submissions, 13 out of 16 via finish. He's 1-1 in the UFC. I had to point out a little fun fact here when we were doing some digging last minute before we recorded. He fought Daquan Townsend back on the amateur circuit twice.
Back to back.
Yeah, this is a lightweight fight, by the way, 155 pounds. Townsend's a light heavyweight.
And
205 pounds.
James won both fights, right?
Yes, won both fights. I'm just confusion. Anyway, he has 13 finishes, 12 of those, Noah, first round.
Mm-hmm.
Woo! This is my fight of the night right here.
That's a great pick.
This is my fight of the night. The late addition to the card. I think they're going to come in. They're going to put on a show. They put him up on near the co-main. I mean, right under OSP for a reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
Last minute, giving us 6 fights. They're going to put on a show. I'm going Justin James, second round KO TKO. Wow. I think we're going to see a barn burner of a fight here.
You're definitely winning me over on this fight. I mean, not that it needed any introduction, but you might have a future in this business.
I try.
But yeah, 2 guys that love to get in there and finish this fight. We're kind of repeating ourselves.
There's a lot of finishers.
This speaks to the quality of the card, I think. The quality of some of these fighters on this card, when it comes to the excitement level anyway.
Yep.
Might not be the biggest names, as many of fight nights are, but that's not where, at the end of the day, we just want to watch good fights. And this card is really kind of giving us that. It's
all about that matchmaking.
So now that I stalled on making my decision for a second there, I don't know. This is the card I'm having the most trouble with.
You've had some struggles tonight.
It's just so
there are a lot of toss-ups here, you know. It's tough.
James, we last saw in a losing effort to Gavin Tucker. Fun fact, that was on the Derek Lewis Alexei Oleinik card, a.k.a. our pilot episode where we recapped the good old days.
Mr. Justin was not mentioned on that card.
He was not, but he lost in a third round rear naked choke to Gavin Tucker.
Who our boy Billy Q's about to fight. Mm-hmm. Is that December coming up?
I think it's UFC 246. I think. I could be wrong, but I think it is.
Shout out Billy Q.
So then Gabriel Benitez, we last saw him on the Smith versus Teixeira card, also in a losing effort to Omar Morales, unanimous decision. That was his return to lightweight. Is this fight happening at lightweight?
This is lightweight, yep.
I think I'm also going to go Justin James. I think he has shown me more at lightweight, especially in UFC run.
Mm-hmm.
You know, again, Benitez has fought at lightweight before, but this is only his second time fighting in that division in the UFC. He fought at, I'm going to assume, it was featherweight for pretty much most of his career, moving up here. James, I imagine, is going to be the bigger guy in this matchup. But how's he going to do it, you might ask? I'm going to say third round. KO TKO. I think this fight nearly goes the distance, but not quite. And it's going to be a big win for James.
Oh, yeah, it would definitely be. I mean,
this really
is a seasoned vet.
It really could be the fight of the night. I'm not going to quite pick it, even though you're going three. I'm saying
you want to change. You know you want to change.
No, I'm sticking with my boys.
All right.
I'm sticking with old Roman Dolidze and John Allen Arte. Bring it home, boys.
I respect it.
We move on to our co-main event. Ovin St. Preux, Jamal Hill. Y'all better get on the train.
Well, Jamal Hill train. Oh, I'm sorry, Noah.
Go ahead, take it away.
Ovin St. Preux. We've previewed this gentleman one time before, but for those of you that are new to the podcast, trickle in. OSP is 25-14. This will be his, is my math correct, 40th professional MMA fight on Saturday. 12 KO TKOs, 8 submissions. That's 20 out of 25 via finish. 13-9 in the UFC. He's been in there with the who's who. Notable wins against Jean Vellante. Fun fact, he's opening our entire card on the prelims. Beat him via majority decision. Don't see those often. Submitted Nikita Krylov. KO'd Shogun Rua. KO'd Patrick Cummins, submitted Yushin Okami, KO'd Corey Anderson, and most recently, while walking backward, one-punch KO'd Alonzo Minifield. However, he's got some notable losses. Notable loss to former light heavyweight champion in Bellator and current heavyweight champion Ryan Bader via unanimous decision. Got submitted by Glover Teixeira, the ageless wonder. Lost to John Jones via unanimous decision. Got KO'd by Mr. Jimmy Manoa. Lost a close split decision to Volkan Oezdemir. Got submitted by Ilir Latifi. I will say that caught me off guard when I was taking my notes. Lost a unanimous decision to Dominic Reyes. Fought Nikita again and got submitted by Nikita Krylov. So they both have submitted each other. Would love to see the trilogy on that one. And then lost a tough split decision in his one and only heavyweight UFC fight against Ben Rothwell. Jamal Hill, Noah, he's 7-0. He's undefeated. This is our third undefeated fighter on the card. He's got 3 KO TKOs. He's 2-0 in the UFC with 1 no contest, if you count his win on the Contender Series. All 3 finishes in the first round. That notable win for him coming against Daquan Townsend. This was at KOP 62 in 2018 via unanimous decision. You know, I'm just going to be honest. I picked Jamal Hill.
Yeah.
But I my heart wants OSP Noah. I just want you to know.
I like Jamal Hill a lot.
That's what I
though.
want.
I do like Jamal Hill a lot, though. He really has the personality. He has the flash enough to where that guy could be a real problem, a real star.
Well, I'm going to give it to you straight right here.
Okay.
Jamal Hill, first round KO TKO.
Rip that Band-Aid right off.
OSP, man. Who's who, always in entertaining fights outside of the Rothwell fight. I know you think differently on that one than I do, but that's all right. OSP, man, the seasoned vet, love this guy, the former Tennessee football player, but Jamal Hill, the young up-and-comer, the rising star, another Contender Series veteran, undefeated for a reason. OSP has shown subject chins in the past. Chins? Subject chin. Jamal Hill. Getting it done first round.
Got the power to do it.
Yes.
So there's been 3 undefeated fighters on this card. You say none of those O's have got to go. You have picked.
This is true.
You have picked all 3.
I promise I'm not a filthy casual.
Oh no, not at all. I think that could very well happen. I mean, again, undefeated for a reason. We're gonna scream it off the rooftops, baby.
Merch drop incoming.
So what am I going to do here?
You're going to pick Jamal.
I picked the first undefeated fighter. I sided with you.
Yes.
The second one, I went against you. Now
here
we are again.
Here we are.
You know how I feel about Ovin St. Preux.
I do.
I love the guy. I love this run he's been on. I actually really enjoyed his heavyweight fight with Ben Rothwell. I think I'm the only person in the world that enjoyed that fight. I fucking love that fight. No, I actually did enjoy it. It was a bit sloppy. They got tired. I had fun.
Put it in the UFC Hall of Fame, courtesy of Noah.
Now look, we've been counting out OSP.
This is true. He has been counted out time and time again.
He arguably won that damn fight against Rothwell. I don't think he did, but I'm just saying. He was counted out big time by you and many others against an up-and-comer.
Oh, yeah.
And Alonzo Menapil.
I said Alonzo first round KO, so I could very
I
much...
went with OSP first round submission. Didn't happen. He knocked him out in the second round.
Walking backward.
Yes.
He pulled an Anderson Silva.
Yes. My point being, when he was counted out before, he proved him wrong against an up-and-comer, the guy that was supposed to take his shine and potentially move into the top 15. Here he is again, faced with another up-and-comer, looking to take his shine, move into the top 15. And that is why I'm going with Jamal Hill by first round KO TKO. So, yeah.
Oh, no.
Look, OSP, I love you. I'm on your train, brother. Look, if he wins this, OSP going for that title, baby. I'm all on board. But I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I think he's going to get beat pretty bad here, if I'm being honest. Jamal Hill, I mean...
He's for real, man.
That guy's good.
This dude's a stud.
It's Contender
Series guys.
Big jump up in competition, truthfully speaking.
Oh, yeah.
This is a big jump up for him.
They believe in Jamal,
but
clear.
He just looks so seasoned.
Yeah, he's good.
Like, he doesn't look, for a guy who's only got 8 professional MMA fights.
This will be his 8th.
No, he's 8-0 right now.
Oh, sorry. 8.
The way they do it on Tapology is a little weird. He's 8-0. For a guy that's only had 8 professional fights, sure, he's won them all. But there's nothing to his style that I look at and I don't see a completely polished fighter with a complete arsenal. He looks incredible, and that last win over Klidson Abreu, needed a body, didn't the ground and pound. OSP, I love you, buddy. I think you're going to sleep round 1, and I a part of me hopes he proves me wrong.
We might see like a 1.
I hope these guys go to a draw and they can just hug it out and they both move to number 1 and number 2 at light heavyweight, and then OSP wins the title. He fights Jamal Hill in a rematch for the belt. 2021, crazy.
Next year. Okay, I gotcha.
Okay, but yeah, that's my thoughts there. That was a little wild. We move on to the main event. Jack.
The
Joker, Hermansson. Marvin.
The Italian Dream.
Vittori. Alrighty then.
185 pounds. Men's middleweight. There's only men's middleweight in the UFC. Jack Hermansson, 21 wins, 5 losses, 11 KO TKO, 6 submissions. That's 17 out of 21 via finish. He's 8-3 in the UFC. This dude has been slept on for years. He's got notable wins against Talis Lightis.
It's Talis Ladies.
That was via TKO. Submitted Gerald Mearchart. Submitted David Branch. Got a unanimous decision over Jacare Souza. And most recently, embarrassed Kelvin Gastelum 40-some seconds into the first round with a heel hook submission, if I'm not mistaken. Was it a heel hook?
Yeah, it was 1:18 then.
Whatever. What'd I say, 40-something seconds? Who's counting? On notable losses, he's lost to Noah's boy Thiago Santos via TKO. Thiago has been mentioned on this podcast nearly every episode, and we're in episode like 48 at this point. 47. I don't even know what episode we're in.
And the only time his fight happens, I'm not even here for it. He loses. Whatever. Anyways.
Also has lost to Jared Cannonier via TKO. That was a brutal one. 10 of Jack's 17 finishes have came via first round. Marvin Vettori finally getting the big stage here. He's got a fight against the Joker, number 4 ranked, I believe. Jack is right now. Marvin is ranked number 13th. Mm-hmm. He's 15-4, 2 KO TKOs, 9 submissions. That's 11 out of 15 via finish. He's 5-2-1 in the UFC. Notable wins against Cesar Ferreira. I said that right?
Ferreira.
Or do I roll the R's?
It's Ferreira.
Ferreira. Do I roll the R's?
Yeah, you kind of did.
Okay, cool. We can forget that happened, though, if you want. Beat him via unanimous decision. Beat Andrew Sanchez via unanimous decision, a Ultimate Fighter veteran. And also submitted Carl Roberson most recently. He's entering this fight on a 3-fight win streak. Notable losses in the UFC. Lost to Antonio Carlos Jr. via unanimous decision. And Noah. A split decision loss to the current middleweight king, undefeated Israel Adesanya. Split decision.
Mm-hmm.
You know what that means? For those of you that don't know, tell them what that means. What's a split decision?
Split decision means, in this case, we have 3 judges. 2 of our 3 judges scored the fight for Israel, the last stylebender, Adesanya. However, 1 judge strayed from the pack and picked Marvin Vettori as the winner of that fight.
You know, and I remember watching this. This was back right when Izzy had made, his splash into the UFC, cracking into those rankings. Man, what a fight. I remember being so, what's the word I'm looking for?
Invested?
Yes, and just, I didn't know who won. At the end of that fight, I did not know.
Really?
Did not know.
I actually thought Adesanya won.
Okay.
It was a great fight, though.
Oh, yeah.
And the fact that it was a split decision, I thought was completely fair.
And granted, the Izzy we see today is not the Izzy we saw then. We know this. But the Marvin we saw then hasn't lost since. He's on a 3-fight win streak, and he's looked better with every fight. And 11 of Marvin's he has 11 finishes. All 11 of came in the first round. Who am I kidding? This is a great main event. Listen, the Joker here was originally scheduled for Darren Till.
Yes.
Love that fight. Then Kevin Holland. Whew, love that fight. But man, Noah, this fight is intriguing, my friend.
Yeah, it might not be Hermansson Till, because that was truly just the matchup that we needed,
right.
Considering the rankings. But I actually think it's a step up from Holland, only due to where they are right now. Vettori ranked 13th. Holland not quite ranked yet. I think him versus Jacare makes a lot of sense. You probably heard me talk about that Monday.
For sure.
All right. So what's funny about this matchup is that many of the pundits and the experts and really just the fans, they are definitely thinking that the way for Hermansson to win here is to go for the takedown, get the fight to the ground. But Hermansson has more wins by knockout. Vettori being quite the submission
9 out of
specialist.
11.
So taking down Marvin Vettori is no easy task.
Oh, no. And Marvin can strike.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sure, the 2 wins by knockout might stand out as being like, oh, well, he's much more of a submission-heavy guy. I think a lot of those submissions, and I could be wrong on this, but a lot of those I think are set up by the work he does on the feet. He's able to really catch guys, get their equilibrium off, able to get them on the ground and finish the fight there. It's kind of like how Davison's been winning by submission in his last 2 fights, but we know that the work that it took to get there was the strike
set up by the power.
Yeah. Especially with the Benavidez fight.
Yeah,
but you know, it's just the way it kind of goes sometimes. It's a very interesting matchup, and what's so surprising to me is the betting odds have Marvin Vettori as a slight favorite.
Yeah.
Really disrespect. I don't want to say disrespect, but I guess I didn't realize. I thought people were underrating Marvin Vettori because he really kind of has been underrated through his whole run here. He's been really struggling to get fights. I believe that fight with Carl Roberson fell through twice before they finally got it. Roberson missing weight again in that one. What the hell are you doing, Roberson? Anyways. But yet, Hermansson seems to be the one being underrated in this matchup.
Jack, I said it when I very first started the breakdown of Jack here. He's always just not looked at as a top contender.
I think that loss to Jared Cannonier did a lot of... it's really halted his progress to getting to that title contention.
Oh, for sure, but you look at the loss.
Obviously, a loss halts your momentum.
Yeah.
But I think it was the fact that he was pretty handedly beaten on the feet, and pretty swiftly, if I might add, and finished ultimately in the second round. It was a pretty one-sided fight for Cannonier. So I think that even the Kelvin Gastelum win, I thought Kelvin was going to win that fight. I thought it was a bounce-back opportunity for him. So I guess in a way, maybe even I'm sleeping on Jack Hermansson a little bit. Yeah. And that people might continue to say that's true here because I'm actually going to side with Marvin Vettori in this matchup. And here's why. I do think Hermansson's going to have a very hard time getting this fight to the ground. And even if he does, I think Vettori has enough knowledge of the ground game in order to get into those sprawls and get back to his feet, or at least threaten enough with submissions to keep Hermansson busy. Like, I don't think Hermansson can take it to the ground and rest. I think Vettori's going to keep him busy the whole time. I ultimately think this fight goes to a decision, though. I think Vettori gets to win by decision. He could very well finish this fight, and Hermansson could too. These guys could really finish this fight either way for both of them. That's what makes this matchup so intriguing.
Yeah, man.
I think that this fight ultimately stays on the feet for quite a vast majority of it, and I think people are going to be surprised at what they see from Vettori here.
Vettori's going to put a lot of people on notice.
I know he's the slight betting favorite, but betting doesn't necessarily apply to what the casual fans or what even the hardcore fans are thinking going in. People are happy Vettori's getting the spot because I know a lot of hardcore fans are big on him, but I think people are, if you're a hardcore fan, you know how good Jack Hermansson is, and you know what a step up for Vettori this is, considering he is only coming off a win over Carl Roberson. Hermansson has fought the who's who of the top of this division for years now. I still think Vettori gets his win here. I think this puts him into the top 5. It's disappointing for Hermansson because I really do respect him taking this fight, and especially because this is his third opponent. It'll be disappointing, but I think a potential, Vettori wins this, puts him in that top 5. Maybe you still get Hermansson till, who knows?
Yeah, that's true. Man, this is the one I'm torn with. This is such an intriguing, stylistic, we're going to see a beautiful MMA fight, I think, in this main event here. Jack's been in there with just straight killers. He's got that experience edge, the tougher competition. Vettori, though, still a stud and does not get respected enough. Neither one of these guys get the respect they deserve. That's safe to say.
Oh, yeah. Slept on, both of them.
Especially, we're talking Jack here, ranked 4th, which is just crazy. I'm going decision, but I'm going the other way. I'm going the Joker, Jack Hermansson. Like you said, both these guys could very easily finish this fight, for sure. But that part of me just wants to see a 5-round, beautiful fight. I think we're going to see some groundwork, but I do think primarily on the feet, like you said. I think we're going to see some good striking out of both guys. I think Jack's going to be able to just outpoint him a little more on the feet, get the better of the transitions and grappling, and he's going to maybe even like a 48-47, 3 rounds to 2. I think it's going to be an incredible fight. I'm so excited for this. Like we mentioned in one of our news segments, this honestly just plays out better than Hermansson-Holland, because now Holland gets the Souza fight, which we'll talk about next week. So I'm very excited, very intrigued. It could go either way, but I'm going Hermansson here.
Yeah, I want to just make one more quick note, is that when you're talking about the ground game of these two, sure, again, Vettori, 9 of his 11 finishes via submission. Trying to take down Hermansson is also a very risky move, because that guy's guillotine choke.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, baby.
He sinks it in deep.
David Branch and Gerald Mearchart say hello.
Yes.
Among others.
Yes.
So, again, the slick heel hook over Kelvin Gastelum.
That was nice.
It was...
Came out of nowhere.
It was also like, Kelvin was caught in it once, got out.
Then
didn't really change his positioning. Got caught in it again. Weird fight.
That's a fight you just forget happens.
It's that's a good way to put it. So either way, I think no matter who wins or who loses in this fight, sure, if Vettori wins, rankings wise, he's gonna move potentially top 5. That'll put Jack back. If Jack wins, if it's the way we're envisioning, where it's a 5-round technical battle that I kind of see it being, Vettori probably still moves up.
Oh, yeah.
So I feel like this fight, the way we both see it going, I don't think there's really a guy that quite loses in this matchup here. I'm sure the loser will not take it that way, especially a guy who's as brash as Vettori, who...
Yeah, Vettori has some personality to it.
A chip on his shoulder, for sure. He's wanting to run it back without Adesanya big time, so that's interesting if he does win this here. But yeah, I'm really excited for this main event. I honestly, outside of the fight, you know what?
You want to change, don't you? Fight of the night?
I think this is going to be fight of the night.
Yeah,
for me.
I almost did that.
For me. Because I definitely, like, look, I love a good brawl. I love a good finish, as anybody does. But there's something about these technical, what I call a technical war, where you might not quite see it in the damage inflicted. Think of Robert Whittaker, Darren Till, that just happened not too long ago. Think of Darren Till back when he fought Stephen Thompson, a fight a lot of people didn't like. I stand by that being just a beautiful showcase of striking.
Yep.
I think you can see that here. Now, are these guys at that quite of a striking level? No. But I think that they have enough of a full, well-rounded skill set to where you're going to see the full showcase of MMA. There'll probably be some clinch work. You'll see the stand-up. You'll see it go to the ground. So I think we're going to get a good idea of really who's better at each category here.
Yeah.
I think that'll be very interesting to see, and I don't think it's going to be a clean sweep for anybody.
I am... The more we're talking about this, I'm like giddy about this fight, man. I really am. Both these guys also, I wanted to point out, kind of the face of their respective countries in this UFC fight. Marvin Vettori representing Italy. Do you have Jack Hermansson still pulled up on your computer? Because I forget what country he's representing. Because I'm pointing out a really cool... Sweden. So really, outside of guys like Ilir Latifi and it's not.
He's
Sweden.
fighting out of Norway, but he was born in Sweden. So.
Fighting out of Norway. I knew it was like a red flag. So yeah, Jack Hermansson, the face of Norwegian MMA in the UFC. Marvin Vettori, the face of Italian MMA in the UFC, clashing together. Again, we love to point out this worldwide, global footprint that the UFC and MMA as a whole puts on, and we're seeing it here in another main event. So excited. Tune in. Like, even if you don't watch this whole card, you're going to want to watch this main event. You really will want to watch this.
Yeah, you couldn't have said it any better. And guess what? This is a card that you can check out on ESPN2. ESPN2 and ESPN Plus. It's showing ESPN2 for the main card, but I believe the main card is also just on ESPN.
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah, but if you have ESPN Plus like me, you can just check it out on there too, along with the prelims. So that's going to wrap it up there.
There it is.
That is the preview for hashtag UFC Vegas 16. I honestly, I tend to be the guy of the two of us that when we do predictions, I tend to be less finish heavy in my predictions, I think.
You went big today.
And I went with a lot of finishes here. I mean, that's the way this card is looking on paper. And for all I know, look, I don't have to tell you guys this. I'm not great at predicting fights. Like, let's be honest. It's tough because any guy can come in and land one shot and win or do.
Yeah, that's the way it is.
Get caught in a submission. Like it's such an unpredictable thing. The classic example, if the Chiefs are beating, a team like
the Bengals. Sorry.
The Bengals by 5 touchdowns. Joe Burrow cannot throw a 42-point pass.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen. So that's why I think MMA is just such a hard sport to predict. And really
you could be losing the entire fight, but have 1 second left and land one punch.
You've seen it before. Hello, Yair Rodriguez, Korean Zombie.
Yeah, that is the perfect example.
We just talked about them a little bit ago, but yeah, please check out these fights. Just a couple people that I actually want to mention. We actually, if you go to this prelim, and I know we don't touch on prelims, and
I do have one I wanted to point out as well.
We open our card with Jean Vellante, which is kind of speaking to, I think, just top to bottom where this card kind of stands, because Jean Vellante at one time was a ranked light heavyweight. Sure, at heavyweight didn't look completely great in his debut, but going up against a tough fighter, he's opening this card. It's just kind of crazy. And Ilia Tupiria, that's a guy we've talked about in a past episode, so shout out to him. And you gotta give a shout out to your boy from the Contender Series. Go ahead,
Jimmy Flick.
Yeah, I noticed him.
Jimmy the Brick Flick.
Yeah, I love the name. I love his style. I'm very excited to see him. And you got a veteran like Luis Smolka.
Really?
Yeah, he's fighting on here against Jose Alberto Quinones.
I will say, after what I saw from Flick on the prelim or on the Contender Series, This dude knows how to get it done on the ground, and I've never seen so many submission attempts. If you guys are able to watch the prelims, Jimmy Flick, remember the name.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that was a long-winded...
Yes, it was.
I love it, though. As for the rest of the week...
Well,
next week.
Next week.
Monday, we'll obviously be recapping and reviewing all the action from this 6-fight main card that happened Saturday night, along with anything that sticks out to us. We'll catch back up with Jimmy the Brick Flick, I'm sure. Wednesday, though, this episode's going to be a little extra special.
Tell them why, Noah.
We're in the month of December. We're nearing the end of 2020. What a year it has been. So,
very bittersweet.
We start our 2020 year in review, part 1, with a look back at Fight Island.
Right.
Now, I'm going to go ahead and say what part 2 is.
Tell them.
Part 2 happening on December 23rd, 2 days before Christmas. The end of the year awards.
Yes.
We're talking Fighter of the Year, Fight of the Year, Newcomer of the Year, Most Disappointing Fight of the Year,
Ooh.
Most Disappointing Fighter of the Year,
Ooh.
Most Surprising Fight of the Year, Most Surprising Fighter of the Year. This is going to be yearly for us.
Oh, this is going to be deep. You know how we like to say we take deep dives? These next two, or really, all of these special episodes we got lined up, but these next two...
Yeah. Very excited for these next few special episodes. It'll start, though, December 9th. That's this next coming Wednesday. Year in Review Part 1, a look back at Fight Island. Fight Island's still ongoing, but this is kind of another opportunity, along with the documentary we talked about. You can go find that episode in our library of special episodes. But we really get to just kind of talk about the actual cards that took place on Fight Island. Obviously, the impact that it's had. I think Fight Island has been the biggest overarching kind of thing to take away from 2020 in MMA.
And one of the biggest in all of sports.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. And I think that's why it's important to kind of give it its own episode here, where we can break down these cards, the lead up, what went into it, and maybe even touch a little bit. Maybe it'll start to slide into the state of, where we talk about kind of where we see Fight Island going in the future. But then part 2, those end of the year awards, we kind of want to dedicate that episode all to that. So part 1, you'll probably hear a little bit about our 2020, some of the highs and lows as everybody has went through this year, and we are no different. So we'll probably talk a little bit about that. But it's going to be a great month.
Yeah, we're rolling right into 2021. Big things planned. So excited to get a full slate, full year of the podcast. Woo! We've got a lot of things in the playbook.
I couldn't have said it any better myself. So, Dominic, tell the people where they can find you on social media.
Now, here's the thing. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at DSully14. More importantly, you can find our podcast on Twitter and Instagram at BAJ_MMA podcast. Did you know that?
I did.
It's pretty cool. You should check it out.
I'm a little biased, but...
Good content, I've heard.
As for me, if you go to my bio on Twitter or Instagram, at @ntbaker_, you'll be taken to our link tree, which gives you the links to all of the platforms that you can find our podcast and social media on, the Twitter, the Instagram, the YouTube channel, the Anchor page, along with Spotify, Google, Apple Podcast. It's all on there. And there's a link if you want to become a supporter of the podcast. That just provides us with a few dollars a month. All that money goes back into improving the quality of the podcast, whether it be audio equipment or down the line doing a video podcast. But at the end of the day, we just appreciate y'all watching and supporting us. But that's it. We're out. And we're going to see y'all on